Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the 2024 Range Rover Sport Dynamic. Huge shout out to 704 Exotics for providing this luxury SUV for me today. They're always getting in some really cool inventory. That link is down in the description. So this Range Rover is finished off in a beautiful gray. MSRP start just over at $92,000. And this is powered by the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's paired to both the 48-volt hybrid system along with an 8-speed automatic, and it pumps out 355 horsepower, 395 pound-feet of torque sent through that all-wheel drive system. It will propel this 5,000-pound SUV from 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds. It has a top speed of 150 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 23.9 gallons, and you'll expect to see around 20 miles per gallon in the city, 25 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 118 inches. Its overall length is 196. It has a width of 81, a height of 72, and its ground clearance measures in right around 8.5 inches. Now, as we take a look at the exterior styling, hopefully you can tell in this lighting just how beautiful this gray is. Along with the gloss black for the pillars, it gives it a really cool two-tone look. Now up front, there's the Land Rover badge as well as Range Rover, a lot of gloss black for the entire grille, and then that even works its way to these LED headlight housings that are about the same height or width as that grille there, so it blends in very nicely. There's also washers for the headlights located just underneath that. A lot more gloss black in the middle and lower section. There's also the forward-facing camera, along with the sensor for the distance pacing and then parking sensors as well. And then fog lights are tucked away in the very lower section there, where there's also a really nice trim accent finished off in gloss black. There's even more gloss black up on the hood for those trim accents on both sides and some lines that run down to give it a great look. Now this model is also equipped with a set of 23-inch wheels, a very large wheel for this luxury SUV. And then this has massive brembo brake calipers just behind that, finished off in red. This also features the adaptive suspension, so you can raise and lower the vehicle if you need some more ground clearance. Now there's more gloss black on that trim accent. There's also the power folding side mirrors, which have the camera and the turn signal. There's a moonroof up top, more gloss black for all the window trim, and hopefully you could see that the door handles popped out as I got closer to the vehicle. So once I go away, they will become flush with the vehicle to give it a great look. And then there's also some nice lines that run down the side as well. And then in back, there's the massive integrated spoiler with the third brake light. Wiper blade is tucked up underneath, so that way it gives it a great clean look from the back. There's a thin set of housings for the LED taillights, which matches nicely with the gloss black and Range Rover badge that run right through that power liftgate. There's a backup camera, all the parking sensors, and then the dual exhaust in the lower section, as well as the exhaust tips there to give it a great look. Now, in order to gain access to the cargo, you can use the button on the key fob or up underneath. There is a button somewhere under here. You can push on that to quickly open this up. Now, in this Range Rover, there's a lot of space in the cargo. There's also a strap on one side. There's some hooks if you need to use those. You can pop them out. Over on the passenger side, there's a net along with a 12-volt and another hook. And then there's also some storage underneath the floor. However, this does have a full-size spare. So there's a 23-inch wheel and tire underneath, which is nice to see. Also, over on this passenger side, you have controls for the back seats, as well as being able to raise and lower the back of this vehicle. So when you push on these buttons, you can quickly fold the seat down. You can do that on both sides, so that way you can throw in some larger items if you need to. It gives you that much more practicality. And then with those other controls, you can actually lower the back of the vehicle, like I said. So if you need a lower load height, you can bring that suspension down and place in the items that you need to. And as we work our way to the back seats now, as I approach the vehicle, the door handles will pop out, making it easy to enter, of course, where this has a dark red leather interior. There's also the 29-speaker Meridian 3D sound system, more gloss black accents. These are the seat adjustments, so you can use those to recline and incline these seats. And then there's a little bit of storage with the grab handle in the lower section there. And then take a look at this red leather. Definitely a great combo with this gray. Now at 5'10", I have plenty of space in the back. There's also storage pockets. There's air vents. All of the climate adjustments with these dials are on both sides. There's also a lot of auxiliaries down below if you need to use those. And I have a few inches above my head. Like I said, you can also recline these seats too. So that way I can get a little bit more space and be a little bit more comfortable. Now right in the middle, there's the armrest, as well as having these two buttons that you can push on. So you get access to storage on one side and then cup holders on the other. And then you have a good bit of visibility, even with that big pillar there. It's pretty open feeling. With the full moonroof, grab handles are also located up top. They are finished off in leather, and the dome lights are also there too. And then as we hop into the front seat, this has memory seating adjustments. There's also all of the seat adjustments themselves. There's the window controls, side mirror adjustments, which are power folding, and then lock and unlock and more storage in the lower section. Range Rover is also down on the door sill, and then we get a same design for these front seats. Now we can take a look at the two-tone steering wheel that's black and red. But let's fire this up. That button is by itself in the middle here, and we can bring this to life, where now we can take a look at some of these controls. So on this left side, there's your voice commands along with this scrolling dial. There's also a safety button that you can push on and customize for your driver assistance. But if we look at these controls here, currently there's Bluetooth, there's a favorites button, and then you have arrows on this side. I can actually push in the middle to bring up these arrows now, where we can go through the rest of this information. So we can go into the info panel and scroll through all of this, so you can monitor all of this standard information. I can scroll back, even go to the display layout. So we are in the dial mode right now. You can bring up the map in full screen. So if you're using that, you can pull that up as needed, which is really nice. And then when you do have that on, it will pull information over on this left side here. So if we go back into dial, which is more of the traditional view, we can continue to scroll down, look at trip selection, even head-up display controls, and there's vehicle settings that you can monitor as well. So a good bit of information to be able to scroll through. When you do let off of those buttons, it reverts back to this. So kind of neat to see that. Now on the right side, there's the cruise control settings, heated steering wheel, you have your distance pacing. There's also pretty large paddle shifters on both sides. Now over on the left side, there's the liftgate release, more gloss black. There's one air vent tucked away on that side. Leather covers the entire dash, where this also has that head display, like I just mentioned. And then there's two air vents in the middle, and then two buttons over here. You have one for the lower glove box and one to release the upper glove box. So those are nicely hidden away to get to all of that storage there. And then with this infotainment system, you have quite a lot to go through. So you'll notice that this is the home screen here, where you have some shortcuts, you have your navigation and phone. There's also profiles that you can pull up and go through some of that updated software as needed. If I push on the four squares at the bottom, there's various different settings you can go into, like your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you have your weight sensing, even getting into your seats. So that way you can go through the power for them, for the heated or ventilated. You can even get into the rear adjustments. You do have some other adjustments where you can go through the driver and the passenger seat. And then if you go under more, you can actually fold these seats down and click on which one you would like to fold or unfold. And you have the chauffeur mode that you can go into and set as needed. Pretty interesting to see all of that. If you go back into these, you have some four-wheel drive, you have your low traction launch there, even the weight sensing, so you can pull up this indicator if you happen to take this off the road. You can go through about 4 inches of water is the minimum, maximum is 2 feet 6 inches. You also have your ride height adjustments, so you can go into that off-road setting. There's some different modes. So you have all of these for that four-wheel drive system, along with some information to look at your center locking diff, as well as your pitch and roll, all of your degrees. There's also shortcuts here to get into your cooled seats. You can also push on this to further go through the rest of these driving modes, which is very nice. And then you can pull up your navigation in full screen. You can get into those modes again, go into your home screen here. Quite a lot to go through. We can even swipe over now and look at the rest of these. So for this home screen, you have all of these that you can monitor as needed. And there's a settings button over on that right side where you can further go through this. Now underneath that, you can also open up this compartment where there's wireless charging, and then we have the shifter with some Alcantara on it. I'll just push that forwards for reverse, where there's the backup camera, and you also have several different views by pushing on these shortcuts here to see all of these different angles. There's even some off of the front corners of the cameras as well as in the rear to really give you a good view. You can also go into off-road as well and monitor off-roading with all of these settings. Drive is going to be all the way to the back. There's also sport mode, so you can use the paddles, and then park is located on the back too. Now, if you open up this compartment, there are 2 cup holders there, and then you can even open this once more where there's some auxiliaries and a little bit of storage. So you can actually hide that away to where it's pretty well hidden and no one's going to know that it's there. Now, there's also a little bit of storage for the center armrest here. And then up top, there's garage door buttons, as well as all the controls for the digital camera. So you have all of these where you can go through various settings for that. And then the controls up top are for the dome lights, as well as the sunshade and the sunroof. And here's a look at visibility. It's pretty easy to see. It's a long vehicle, great exterior shape, but it gives you a lot of glass too to see over both shoulders. As we set up behind the wheel now for this Range Rover, this is a really cool SUV to take a look at. This is something that is just going to give you that luxury vibe with the suspension, with just how this drives and the sound quality for the interior as well. From what I've read, there's some type of glass for the front, sides, and rear to help really keep it more insulated and give you less road and wind noise. So if you want basically almost like the top level of luxury, a Land Rover is going to give you that as far as the ride quality goes. Now, if we put it into a sport mode now, we can use these paddle shifters, give it a small acceleration for this 6-cylinder here. Sounds pretty good. You can also get the Range Rovers with the V8s in them as well. Personally, that's what I would go with, just to get that V8 sound, get a little bit more performance out of this luxury vehicle. But if you're not into performance, which is funny because this has brembo brakes to stop this, which are going to do a great job, we just don't have the power to necessarily need them. But if you're not interested in the performance, it's still going to give you an adequate amount of power to get up to speed. But so far driving this, it is what you would expect. Very, very nice to drive. We have a lot of space. We have a lot of practicalities for this vehicle. It's really neat to see that Land Rover, Range Rover, they build their vehicles to do off-roading. I've seen videos of Range Rovers going off the pavement. This is not something that is necessarily a hardcore off-roader. It's also something that is going to see pretty much 100% of the pavement all the time. But you do have those benefits to take it, I'd say, mild off-roading. If you need to go on some gravel roads or something where there's some moguls or terrain, you have all of that technology that you can go through, including the locking diff, which is neat. And we'll drop it down to 2nd gear again, give it a small acceleration. I'd say it definitely has a good bit of power. That was a mild acceleration and we got up to speed. So even if you don't opt for the 8-cylinder, this still has a good bit of power to it. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for this Range Rover Sport. A really nice interior. All of these materials are genuine. So for the price, you are getting all of that quality. There's even a large storage bin underneath here that goes all the way to the passenger side, which is hidden away. But very nice materials for the price. Seats are really comfortable. We have that armrest that I mentioned earlier, so you can bring that down just to get a little bit more comfortable. It's about the height of the armrest, so interesting to have that when you could just use the armrest there. But nonetheless, super comfortable to drive, and one that would be a great daily driver if you just want that luxury SUV. I do wish it was a bit louder, but that's what the other engine option is for. And it's nice. Not much else to say with it. It'd be cool to have this for a week to really test it out and see what it's like on a daily basis. But for the driving I'm doing today, it seems like a really nice place to be. And we'll do one last acceleration for today's video. And that's going to wrap it up for the 2024 Range Rover Sport Dynamic. Once again, a huge shout out to 704 Exotics for providing this for me today. Take a look at their website, give this video a huge thumbs up, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.